Hello, friends. I'm Lewis. She's Val.
Hi.
And we are the Figments in Time duo. And this is our penultimate, our final attempt
I started to say
at doing this episode.
the pin-up. Does that mean you're going to make another mistake?
Halfway through, realized I had not pressed the recording button. So that's fun.
Well, we've had a plethora of technical issues tonight. So we're hoping that this actually works tonight now.
So hopefully you've learned the most important part of recording anything is to actually record it.
Yeah.
You do it beautifully, which we didn't, but you do it beautifully and you don't record it, it's not recorded.
No. Lewis reminded me earlier that we do not have an MA in dramaturgy like Frank from our friends at Dillo's Diz. So we are still figuring out how to do this.
These guys, if you want to see better video,
see people who know what they're doing, please
they
listen to the Dillo Diz podcast. They're wonderful.
Which really brings me to a point. That is why this is the end of season 1. We're going to take a few weeks off, maybe go to Disney in 7 days.
Yeah.
By the time you see this, probably will have gone. Who knows?
On the way. We're on the way at least.
On the way. And we're going to retool. We're going to change a few things, maybe talk about a few up-to-date stories from our current trips. Maybe grouse on a little bit about things that are changing at Disney. Because, you know, we believe in a little, we like change and we like nostalgia. We also like things to stay the same. Like everyone else. Like, you know, perhaps our friends at Dillo's Diz.
We have had a rough year, to be quite honest. We've really had a rough year. And so we have had, and our rough year really began after we started trying to really do more of our Disney podcasts and our Twitter feeds and our Instagram. And we were really ready to kind of kick off and start doing some new things. And our health, both of us, we sort of had some health struggles this year, and it kind of kept us from being able to be consistent and to be able to do everything we're wanting to do. But we are feeling better. We're getting back on track. We're doing what we need to be doing more. And so I feel like we're ready to sort of kick off a new season when we return from our trip.
And then we have a trip planned in October, December, and January. Holy cow, in February as well. My boss is not super happy about this. The other day he was saying, we're going to probably have to not have vacations in October. And I'm like, excuse me? I just think you need to talk about this. I asked you 17 years ago for this vacation. He's like, we'll see what we can do.
Not quite that long ago. So that means that maybe some of these trips I might be going on by myself because Lewis will have to work. So no worries. We'll make them happen either way.
Yeah, that's so likely to happen. Because I'm going to go see Jocelyn in October. Because I'm really excited about that meetup.
We are excited about it.
A lot of fun last year. It kicked off a lot of things in this community we've gotten more involved with. And
made so many great friends because of Jocelyn. We love her, and we're just so grateful to her because we have really made a lot of close friends and learned a lot just over this last year of getting to know her. So it's been fun. We're looking forward to October.
Yes. So then our next season, we're going to also try to have guests and get their stories because other people have interesting stories as well. Probably more interesting than ours. A lot of our stories are pretty boring.
Yeah.
Some of them are interesting.
We're pretty boring people, but
we're very nice, just simple. Never thrown anything in anybody. It's never thrown any fits. Okay. So what we're going to do tonight is we're going to talk about a few of our weird kind of different reasons for wanting to go to the parks this month. And it's not things like I want to ride Everest again. I do. I want to ride Space Mountain. I want to ride Splash Mountain. I want to ride Pirates. I want to see the Jungle Cruise, right? I want to see what they've changed to that. And I want to see the barges. I don't want to see them, but I want to know if the hate that's in my heart for these things is real or not.
We need to see them in person to be able to really give an opinion, but we're really dreading it.
Very much dreading that. But there's some weird things that I'm interested in seeing and doing that we're gonna share with you. So my first one is not so much that I'm looking forward to riding Toy Story Mania. I'm
Which
definitely
we are
looking forward
always
to riding
looking forward to riding Toy Story Mania.
But I'm more looking for things that look like this. I'm looking for numbers. I'm going to put together a database of the numbers around Disney World so I can put up countdowns. I've got 20 days to Disney. I can find a 2, I can find a 0, I'll put them together. I'll probably use things like the score from here. I'll probably, if I can get good enough pictures of those. I've got a lot of pictures of the scores. There's house numbers around. There's all sorts of numbers around. If I can find enough, I'm going to put together a countdown. And ideally, I can put it out for other people too. Make random versions of it. So these kind of little weird hunts are kind of like things to plus our day as we're walking around looking for things. Just stuff to do. It's not like you ever get bored at Disney, but sometimes, it's hot and you're tired and you're looking for something to do and there's not enough rides. So you go ride, you do stuff. You do the data pad, but I have some little picture missions I have stowed away ready to do.
It's not really so much boredom. It's just when you have been to Disney as many times as we have been, we have seen all of the big things. We've seen
them all.
We've seen sets and we've seen attractions and we've seen the big obvious things that you see when you go into Disney. And so part of the fun of it for us, and the reason why we're excited about looking for numbers, which I'm excited about us doing it too, is because we're looking for these little details that we wouldn't normally be looking for, or that we wouldn't even normally see, because a lot of these numbers just sort of fade into the scenery as you're riding an attraction or as you're walking by. And so it's fun for us to find new and unique things to be looking for. So when we are walking around and we can have the opportunity to look for something new, it's a lot of fun for us. And so looking around for something like numbers that's so unique will be really fun. So we're looking forward to it for this trip.
All right. So what is yours? What's your first?
All right. My first picture, we were talking earlier. One of the interesting things about some of the things that we've been working on is that we will have memories and stories and things that we're wanting to tell, but we don't have the exact picture that we're looking for that's going to match exactly what we're going to tell. And so this picture doesn't necessarily match exactly what I wanted to share, but this is one of the things that I'm looking for. And this particular picture is from Disney Hollywood Studios. It's a picture of the Grand Avenue courtyard in front of the theater where the Miss Piggy fountain is and where Rizzo's is. So this is not exactly the view that I'm picturing in my mind as I was wanting to share what I'm looking forward to, but this is the closest picture that I could find that is the image that I'm picturing in my mind. And one of the things that I'm really looking forward to for this particular trip is to find these little places that I love to sit and have a snack and cool off and people watch. And one of my very favorite places to do this is Baseline Tap House in Hollywood Studios. There is a wonderful little patio seating area and you can hear some music. And if you're there right as the sun is going down, you have just this wonderfully quaint area to sit and enjoy. I'm going to get the charcuterie board and my Blue Sky soda and find a place where I can just sort of sit and relax and enjoy the view and enjoy people watching and listen to the music. This trip is going to be a little bit different for me this time because of my health concerns. I'm not going to be able to do the things that we normally do on a Disney trip. And so I am really looking forward to finding some of my favorite areas, little places that I can just sit and enjoy a snack and just enjoy the view and people watch. And so I have a lot of those places in my mind already that I'm really looking forward to. I have a lot of places that I love to sit. That's a much better picture, by the way. There are a lot of places that I love to sit in Animal Kingdom. There's a lot of places that I love to sit in Epcot. So I have a lot of places that I'm really looking forward to, where while you're able to kind of go and experience attractions and things that you normally do, where I'll have an opportunity to sort of find those special places for me where I can sit and just sort of enjoy just relaxing at a Disney park, which is not something that I spend a lot of time doing.
I will note that one of the reasons why I'm going to go look for numbers is I just don't like sitting. If I'm going to go, I would love to have Baseline Tap House in the place where we live. And I would go to a lot and I would sit and I would hang out. I mean, I don't want to remind you that they don't have Blue Sky Cola anymore, but
I thought you said they still have Blue Sky Soda. They just didn't have Black Cherry anymore.
They have another. It's another flavor of soda. It's not another brand as well. Yeah.
Oh, it's another brand as well.
Yeah.
Oh,
from what I understand.
Well then, yeah. Now I'm really sad. I have to say, I had never had Blue Sky Soda before. They had it on tap at Baseline. The dark cherry Blue Sky Soda is still, to me, my favorite drink that I've ever had. I love it so very much. Our sweet friends at Delos Diz, during all of this insanity that we have been going through over the last year, sent me some Blue Sky Soda. So I have some here at home that I'm very slowly drinking through because I want to enjoy it. But yes, Lewis had told me earlier this year that I would not be able to enjoy the dark cherry anymore. I didn't know it wasn't Blue Sky Soda anymore. Maybe I'll find a new soda that I like. I'm hopeful. The charcuterie board is hopefully the same.
Okay, so my next one is, it's not this particular picture. I'm not trying to recreate this picture again, right? I want to get some pictures of Spaceship Earth in a couple of ways. One, I'd like to get a picture of the fountain that's out in front. Two, I'd like to get a picture ideally with maybe less walls. I have from our last trip some pictures with, the whatever it's called. The Communicore.
Right.
Those buildings kind of in shambles. So I'm looking forward to seeing that. And maybe we'll get lucky and we'll get to see the points of light if they have those testing that night. I mean, we're only going to be there 4 nights, so we're not going to repeat things. And if we're going to repeat anything, it's probably going to be Happily Ever After to catch it from a couple of locations. Which is really the impetus for this trip in the first place, was when they said Happily Ever After was going away. I mean, we knew it was going away for 18 months, but we didn't know it was going away forever. When they said that, we were like, we should go. And it's your birthday and such and such. So we're like, okay, let's go.
We had the points that we needed to use before the end of the year. And so we had a few things that kind of came up that made this kind of quicker trip happen. And it's made it a little bit more challenging for us because we had the October trip planned. And again, when we're talking about how changes in the parks change the way that we plan a trip and the way that we look at a trip, we couldn't get as many park days for this particular trip because we would have lost some of the park days we had reserved for our October trip. So it makes it a little bit more complicated to just be able to plan an impromptu trip to Disney World the way we used to, because we used to do these little short, 3 or 4 day trips more often. And now it's a lot harder to be able to do that.
Okay. So let's get your next one.
It's really interesting that really the things that we are looking forward to on this particular trip are a little bit different than trips in the past. My particular picture that I have up now is one that was taken in Animal Kingdom. It's near Harambe Village. And I love this particular area. And one of the reasons why I do is because of the details, the details and the decorating. This particular picture is of the wall that has the Mickey figure painted on the wall. And I love that so much because you just have this great pop of color Mickey that very much looks hand-drawn on this wall. But also just this whole area there's some bikes near there and some carts and some different things. And so the detail that can be found is just amazing. But actually what I'm looking forward to, and the reason why I chose this picture, is that I'm looking forward to looking for some hidden Mickeys. One of the things that's a little bit different, I am not the photographer in the family. I used to be years ago, but now Lewis has taken over that job, and he does a better job than I ever did taking pictures. And so because he's always taking pictures, I take very few pictures. And especially when it comes to things like hidden Mickeys, I am constantly looking for hidden Mickeys, and I'm constantly looking for those little details that the Imagineers leave behind when they finish a building or a restaurant or an attraction. And I love to find them. And usually I do find them, and I point them out to Lewis and I tell him the story behind it. And he doesn't really want to listen to the story behind it, but he humors me and he listens or pretends to listen to the story behind it. And I talk about it, but I don't take pictures of it. And so as I have been really working to do more with my Twitter account, Val Pal Mickey, where I'd like to share more of those moments, I really do need those pictures. And so one of the things that I was thinking for this trip, since I'm not going to be able to ride the attractions quite as much as I normally would, and I am going to be kind of hanging out and waiting more, looking for hidden Mickeys that I am familiar with that I can take some pictures of and have available, is going to be something that will give me, something to kind of look for and something to do while I'm sort of wandering the parks, sort of like Lewis's numbers to look for, but this will give me, those little things to look for while I'm enjoying just being in the parks and just enjoying my time at a Disney park when I'm not necessarily going to be able to participate in every attraction that I normally would.
So what does this have to do with hidden Mickey, though?
Well, I thought of this picture. I love this picture. I love this particular Mickey. And so it was just the one that I chose to say, I'm looking forward to looking at hidden Mickeys. And I kind of consider him to be a hidden Mickey in a way, because that's the beauty of a hidden Mickey, is that it's not necessarily always Mickey, and it's not necessarily always completely hidden. It's just sort of just an homage to Mickey that the Imagineers have given. I didn't know that. Lewis is just putting up something on the screen that says that, and I'm afraid to say the word because I'm afraid I won't say it right. Fichua is what I'm assuming. Fichua is actually written.
To pretend I could pronounce that word, and I will not even try.
It's below Mickey. I'm going to have to look it up now, and I'm going to be really embarrassed if I did that completely wrong. But it's Swahili, and it actually means hidden. I did not know that. I
really expected you knew that.
I did not. I have a feeling that I probably have known maybe that in the past and just had forgotten it, but I honestly did not remember that even a little bit. So
it's funny. Okay, so for my next to last thing, the last one's a bit of a cheat anyways. There's something in Pandora that I've heard exists, and it's to do with waterfalls, but it's the fake waterfalls where they have in the background. It looks like a water wheel that's going. I want to see if I can find that myself. I saw some pictures of it. It could have been faked. Everything on the internet's faked, right? It's a conspiracy theory. The waterfalls are fake. I mean, we can see these are real. I mean, the whole thing's very real looking. But, I've heard that it's in the background, like, very far back in the ground. There's these waterfalls, and that's one of those kind of crazy details I want to find in Pandora. I mean, I could spend, all day back in Pandora just looking at the scenery, because it's ridiculously detailed, and
they did an amazing job. It's just beautiful, and so much detail.
Okay, and the final thing that I think is a cheat, because It's not a stupid thing. The final thing is that I really hope, I want to see the area where Ratatouille is. And I really, really hope we get a ride on this attraction that week. I don't think it's possible.
Yeah, we have been very lucky over the years when we have been at the parks right before an attraction is opening. We usually have been able to catch a preview where they're allowing guests to come in just, randomly throughout the day. We were able to do that with Toy Story Mania when it first opened. Yes, it was amazing. It was before the official opening, and we spent the whole morning pretty much just riding over and over and over again when it wasn't even on the map yet. So people didn't even know that it was open or back there, and they were just doing these previews, these run-throughs. And so we were able to catch that. I think we caught Expedition Everest early. I don't remember that we caught.
I was in my 30s back then, so I don't have much memory of that.
I'm trying to remember. There's been several. I'm trying to remember some of the others that we were able to catch early. We tried to catch Seven Dwarfs Mine Train early.
I was sitting here thinking about that horrifying day. It was so hot.
And there was a line, and we waited, and we never wait in lines for a really long time. We plan out our day so that we don't have to wait in incredibly long lines. And so we waited because we just knew they were going to open it, and they did not. And so we didn't get in early for that one. But we have had a few others that we have been able to kind of catch, during these times. And so we are hoping that this will be another time, but we are doubtful that it will be.
Rumors and innuendo. There was a line. People just lined up. Nobody was telling them to line up. No one said. We asked cast members. They were like, I don't know. We're like,
we don't know why there's a line. Well, because they had randomly opened a couple of times the day before, and some people had had the opportunity. So I think that's why there were so many people that were waiting this particular day. And so we were like, oh, let's just give it a little bit of time and see. And we did not get fortunate on that particular attraction. But, and like I said, I'm doubtful. And one of the reasons why I'm really doubtful too is because our time is so limited. We're not going to have that kind of just hang around in World Showcase and maybe get lucky kind of time. We're just not going to have it. So if it doesn't happen if it doesn't happen on our day, it's not, we do tend to, when there are things that are getting ready to open, and that's something that we tend to do. But we are season pass holders, and we do have, we do park hop. And so one of the things that we do try to do when we are at the parks, when something is about to open like that, is that we will check social media a little more often to see if somebody posts that, oh, look, they're doing cast member previews, but they're letting other guests in, or they're, doing these kinds of things. And so sometimes we've been able to go, oh, let's head over to Epcot and see if we can catch it, because somebody said that people are riding this particular attraction. And so we have been lucky to be able to do that a few times. But again, we don't have that ability because of the need for reservations. And so it's going to be harder. It would be harder this trip in general to be able to do that. Plus, we're there fewer days, and we won't give up reservations or things that we do have to be able to do that. But it would be fun if we just happened to catch it.
Well, you can park up after too, So.
Right. But if somebody says, oh, it's open to be, we can't necessarily just park hop anytime we want to, like we could before COVID. So it doesn't kind of give us that opportunity to go, oh, hey, this is going on over here. Let's switch and go to this park instead this morning. And so
thankful that we're back in a month and a half, so it's not that big of a deal.
We are. I said earlier, and I don't think I said early. We've had some technical issues tonight, and so we've done this show a few times now. But one of the things that I had talked about earlier was that every time the park changes, it changes the way you plan your trip. it changes things a little bit. You know, for us, when we first started going, you could do the paper fast passes. And so we had our routines of the things that we would go to first in the morning. When we got there at rope drop, we had our order of when we would pick up a fast pass and when we would try to ride an attraction once and then pick up. We sort of had our routine, everything laid out. And so then when they changed over to the magic bands, then we had to change that routine. We had to learn a new way to go through our day to be able to maximize, because for Lewis and I, a successful trip is how many times you get to experience an attraction, and how many times do we get to ride Toy Story and not wait more than 30 minutes for anything. And so that's part of how we always planned our trips. You know, which attractions do we need to hit at which time of day? You know, Spaceship Earth, you don't want to ride first thing in the morning because that's when it's the busiest. You want to save Spaceship Earth to the end of the day if you want multiple rides. But on an attraction like Slinky Dog or like Soarin', back in the day, we had to make a beeline for them first thing in the morning to be able to get a couple of rides in before it got too busy. So you had to plan your day according, you know, to when you could get those rides more frequently without having to wait more than 30 minutes. Because we would ride Toy Story Mania in the morning over and over and over again several times before the wait became 30 minutes back in the day.
With that, we'll see you next time.
Bye, friends.
Bye.